Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm gonna be making a Scream 6 video. Today, since we haven't been getting much news lately, I kind of just wanted to just make a little fun video talking about, just like how I think, the meta commentary um will be implemented in Scream 6 and how it'll be, thrown in there and how they can go about it for Scream 6 in the first place. And that's basically what I'm gonna be making this video on since we haven't, like I said, we haven't really gotten much news lately. So I kind of just been making, just Scream 6 videos, just giving theories and speculations and things I want to see. That's kind of what I've been doing lately. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do in this video, talking about meta commentary for Scream 6 and how I think they can go about it. If you guys can like and subscribe to the channel, if you guys are new, I would really appreciate it. It really does help out the channel. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And we're gonna get right into it. So basically, you know, with Scream 6, like how I was basically wondering, you know, how exactly are they gonna, comment on the state of horror with Scream 6? How are they gonna, you know, lean into that again in Scream 6? Because they've already done it 5 times, and all these 5 times, it had like reasonings, and it had like different aspects and elements to it that made sense for what they were commenting on in the first place. But with Scream 6, how are they going to do that though? What exactly are they going to call it? Because Scream 1, as we know, they commented on the state of horror in general, just horror movies and how they were getting stale and boring around that time, and how they're all the same and how they're so predictable, and like Scream 1, it pretty much poked fun at that. And then with Scream 2, they commented on the horror sequels, and how the rules apply there and how it's different, and what you can expect in the sequels. There, so they were just commenting on sequels there. And then in Scream 3, they commented on trilogies. Scream 4, they commented on remakes slash reboots. Then in Scream 5, they commented on requels. So what exactly are they gonna comment on in Scream 6? And what exactly are they gonna call it as well? Because like, you know, like are they gonna call it a sequel of a requel, or like I don't know. But I just think that like what exactly are they gonna comment on? Because I've had a few ideas. Um, well, mainly just like with the name, I guess. But I'll get into that like right now in a little bit. But I've had some ideas, and just like in general, like what I think, how I think they can go about it. Because um, like Killjoy Jake, he kind of like he's kind of said that like like Scream has kind of lost the meta commentary lately, with these past few Scream movies that have came out. And they kind of like with Scream 2 and Scream 3 and Scream 5, like they didn't really comment on much with just the overall meta commentary, and just basically the state of horror in general. Like they didn't really comment on any of that. But I kind of disagree, because like he was talking about, you know, with Scream 2 and 3, they had killed off Randy. So, I mean, in Scream 2, they killed off Randy, but in Scream 3, he wasn't in at all. And because, Randy died, the meta commentary in Scream 2 kind of like fell flat afterwards. And then same with Scream 3, like it was not really there at all until, he pops up on the TV screen. And Randy was kind of like the one that always gave the rules. Like he didn't just make references to other horror movies. He literally gave the rules and gave reasons why horror became stale and why it can be unique in certain ways. He literally was that character that did that. And with him dying, it kind of like, yeah, I do agree because of that. The meta commentary kind of fell flat because of that. But I think overall, I don't think it necessarily fell completely flat though. I don't think it was eradicated completely. I still think it was there with Scream 2 and Scream 3. Scream 3, and I would definitely say not so much, but Scream 2, it definitely still had it. Scream 5, I definitely think it still had it as well. Commenting on the requels and how, horror movies these days are just going back to the original, and, they're basically just like ignoring all the past sequels, but also poking fun at some of these requels that have came out lately. And they talked about, how reboots don't really work anymore, because you can't just make a reboot because people are getting tired of them and, are not really enjoying them. And that's why, Mindy, in that one scene she was talking about, you know, Mindy was talking about in that one scene um, where they're all sitting there on the couch. She's talking about like the requels and what it is. She talked about how reboots, specifically with like Black Christmas, Child's Play, Flatliners, like it didn't necessarily work because you know reboots were not something that people wanted to see anymore. It didn't work as well. After the success of Halloween 2018, which she ended up referencing later on, um, it kind of like brought that surface of retrend. Well, not retrend, like just because it was never retrended, but it basically brought up a whole new wave of like of other franchises, including Scream itself, wanting to do requels, and that's exactly what it comments on. But in Scream 6, I think what they can comment on is sequels of a requel. Now, I don't know if exactly they're gonna call it that. I don't think they should call it that. Like, I don't want Mindy to be like, hey, like, sequels of a requel, they do this and that. Like, maybe find a different, way to put it. But, I'm just saying that, just like for now, like, that's basically my idea, like sequels of these, you know, newer adaptations of these horror movies that are releasing these days, like Halloween Kills. You know how that one was just like a blood fest. It was a whole bunch of gore and brutal kills, and that's usually what happens in these you know requels of a sequel. And we know Randy kind of commented on that in Scream 2 with like just the regular sequels. Like just sequels in general. Like they normally get bloody and gorier and whatnot. But however, with Scream, like I said, with Scream 6, they can kind of implement that differently, where they can just make direct references to these other horror movies that were released lately. Um, like just in general, like it doesn't even have to be sequels. But Halloween Kills was just kind of an example that I kind of thought of. Um, and like maybe some other horror sequels that have released lately from other horror franchises, and talking about how it's caused a division, how these sequels usually don't work that well, and how just like overall like they're more so just bloodier and gorier. They can comment on stuff like that, and then just maybe poke fun of it at it a little bit, and just I feel like that's a way they can go about it. They can make direct references as well to other horror movies, like Jason Takes Manhattan. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that, right? I mean, come on, like who wouldn't want to see Ghostface, walking down the street, and then he kicks a boombox from these little teen emo punk, teenagers, like who, I mean, like who wouldn't want to see that, right? I mean, I don't know. Or imagine Ghostface punches someone's heads off. No, I felt I felt like that would be too much, but just some little fun references, and it doesn't have to be like scenes directly correlating or having parallels to Jason Takes Manhattan. Like I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like they can have like a reference to Jason Takes Manhattan about like maybe they can just make a joke or something about how Jason Takes Manhattan was just on a boat the whole freaking movie and they were actually not even in New York. Or, they can comment on like um whenever like Sam and Tara and Mindy and Chad go on the subway station because we know they do eventually from the pictures that we've seen. Um, they can be like, "Oh, you remember in Jason Takes Manhattan? Like they went on the train and then Jason was chasing them. Like, what if that happens here? Like, what if Ghostface starts chasing us, or he like we see him here, and then." That's exactly what happens. Like they see Ghostface, and maybe he starts chasing them, or maybe he kills someone there. I felt like that would be cool. I mean, that would just be awesome to see. And you know, just overall, maybe just some fun references to it. They can reference, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. Since Scream Six takes place during Halloween, like as we know. I mean, like that's just because of this. It's so easy. I feel like with the New York setting, and because of the Halloween setting that we have for Scream Six, it's so easy for them to not only reference other horror movies, um, but also have parallels as well to these other horror movies. And it's so easy to do just because, like I said, it has a New York setting, and because it's literally taking place during Halloween. It's easy to have so many horror references and parallels and Easter eggs and stuff like that. So I think that's how I would like for them to go about it. Um, and just talking about how horror sequels of a requel usually don't get well received by people because usually they're not as good as the first one, and it causes a lot of division. And then if Scream 6 is good, then it'll kind of like flip that upside its head because like then people would be like, oh well, Scream 6 didn't land in that category though because it was actually good. So it didn't fall into those, you know, requels. I mean, sequels of a requel that are freaking, bad and not well received and cause division from people. Like Scream 6 didn't fall in that category, and people can talk about that. So I think that's one way that they can go about it. That's another way. Um, and just like maybe it's referencing just horror movies that came out lately, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Um, they can like have some references to it. They can make fun of it a little bit since a lot of people didn't like it. Um, they can reference X, that movie that Jenna Ortega starred in. They reference some, movies from A24 already. Um, with the Babadook, It Follows, Hereditary, you know, all these other, modern horror type films that have released lately. Like they basically already had like kind of, referenced some of them, and but I don't know. I just think overall in general, it kind of hit the landing with that, in Scream 5. So in Scream 6, they can talk about, they can reference X, like I said. Jenna Ortega was literally in that movie. They can have a line where Tara's like, "Oh, you guys seen that movie X?" Like, yeah, man, that movie sucks, or that movie was great. Whatever. But they can just have a reference to it, And then, it'll just be funny to see, because people who've watched X can be like, hey, she was in that movie. That's why she's referencing it. You know, that would just be cool to see. And, they can reference X, Pearl, um, maybe, even, just, I'm trying to think, some other ones that came out recently. Terrifier 2, Black Phone, um, Barbarian, um, man, I'm trying to think. There's just so many of them of horror movies that they can reference and maybe have some parallels to and comment on, you know, with how horror is today in this state of age. Like there's so many things that they can comment on and talk about. So, I feel like it's I hope they do, and it'll just be great to see. I mean, they can even talk about how some horror movies are trying to rip them off, like, like 'cause I don't know, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like ever since Scream 22 released, I've kind of been seeing so many, like, kind of like, I wouldn't say, necessarily like rip-offs, but, like, some movies that are like similar to Scream that have released lately this past year. And I don't know if it's just because Scream 5 released and, these, like a lot of these, you know, horror movie directors and writers are like, man, I want to be similar to Scream 5 or pay homage to the Scream franchise or, just whatever. Like, I don't know, but I've just kind of been seeing for this past year, like so many horror movies being similar to Scream in many ways. And I don't know if it's because Scream 5 kind of re-sparked that type of, inspiration for horror movies like it did in the 90s. But yeah, it's interesting to see. They could, like I said, they could comment on that. They can comment on horror movies that are taking inspiration from them these days. I don't know. It's not something that is obviously that important, but I do think it'll just be fun to see. Now, do I necessarily want them to be meta again when it comes to like with the Stab franchise? Probably not. Um, I don't think the Stab franchise should be a factor that plays in Scream 6 that much. I definitely don't think so. I mean, I feel like Stab is kind of like well played out at this point. Um, I but I will say though, I did like the motive in Scream 5, talking about toxic fandoms and you know, which Killjoy Jake says that, they were commenting on Star Wars. I mean, not really. I mean, they've only references Star Wars, like, only in that one scene with Mindy talking about it, and they didn't really reference Star Wars. I mean, yeah, like I said, it was just that one scene with Mindy on the couch talking to everyone. Like that was the only time they really referenced it. They were really what it was is they were commenting on toxic fandoms of not only horror but just in general of the fandoms of today, which, as expected, it caused a lot of controversy. Well, not controversy, but just divisive opinions. Like like some people liked it, some people didn't. And I personally I liked it just because I felt like it made sense. It worked so well, and it seeing how some people have reacted lately when it came to the Scream 6, with certain news that has came out, and then how people have been reacting to it and how they've been, just I don't know. I just feel like the motive it works well when you look back at it. Like it really does. And like I said, I know a lot of people don't like it, but that's what the Scream franchise does, though. It's always been, you know, it's always had these like, controversial, well, not like I said, not necessarily controversial, but like it's always had some type of form of social commentary that that people may not necessarily agree with, but every Scream movie has had that. Even Scream 4, like Scream 4 is like one of the best examples, with them talking about, you know, how social media affects, you know, the this today's generation and what it's doing to people. And people may not I know there's people who, they I mean there's obviously people who just simply don't like it, and that's fine. I definitely understand it. If that's the motive is not for you. But you cannot deny it. It is accurate to, the generation of today and whatnot. Like I think Scream 4 commented on that very well. That's why I like the motive from Jill and whatnot. I think it was brilliant and fantastic the way they went about it. Um, so yeah, like of course, that was another form of social commentary. It's, like I said, Scream has always had social commentary. In Scream 2, they literally commented on how, because they had Mickey, who was literally trying to blame horror movies for his actions, like, which that was a thing that was happening a lot back then. And, like I said, it was controversial at that time. And then, like I said, Scream 4 commenting on social media affecting today's generation. It was so ahead of its time too. That's the thing, but it caused somewhat a divisive opinions on that motive as well because some fans didn't, they didn't agree with that. They didn't. They were like, "Hey, like, why are they trying to make fun of today's generation? Trying to say that, like, we're all just like being um viewed on social media and whatnot. Like, why are they making fun of us?" And and then in Scream 3, they literally comment on Hollywood and the stuff that happens in that business, and like it was just every Scream movie has had some type of controversial or social commentary added to it. So that's why I don't really necessarily see why people act like it's anything new. Um, they've never gone like you know what you would say like they've never gone necessarily like like I don't know how to say it. Um, I don't know what I'm trying to say. They've never gone, necessarily like, political, I guess. Like how other horror movies have been lately these days. Um, it was more so just they've always had social commentary. You know, it has nothing they've never had like political commentary in there though. Which is that's why I don't understand why people, because there were some people, whenever Scream 5 was released, that were calling Scream 5 woke. They were calling it woke, which, I just don't necessarily see how, because, it didn't have any type of, it didn't have any type of like, agenda or some type of hidden, you know, theme that they were trying to display on in the movie or some type of political, you know, commentary in it. Like, I don't know. I don't really see how that movie was woke. I mean, but that's what some people were calling it. When Scream 5 released, they were calling it woke and all this stuff, but it really wasn't. But you to say that Scream franchise has never had social commentary at all in it is just a lie. Because they definitely have. They've always had social commentary in general. Um, so I think that's why the Scream franchise it works with that aspect and elements to it. Um, so yeah, I don't. And then so I don't know with Scream 6. There's so many things that they can comment on with the state of horror, and that's why I think it can work. Um, and they can have so many references and Easter eggs, and just overall just commentary, and just talking about the state of horror and how it is today. Whether, like I said, whether they're gonna call it a sequel of a requel, like how I said earlier, which I don't think they will. Hopefully not. But whether they're gonna call it that or not, I don't like. They're most likely gonna call it something similar to that. So yeah, Scream franchise is known for just commenting on the state of horror. That's what it does. So that's why you some people they get bothered with the meta self awareness and commentary that it has, but that's what Scream has always been. It's always been that way. Now, do I want to see Stab implemented in Scream 6 again? No. I mean, I like I said, I like the Scream 5 motive, but I think, moving on, I think the Stab franchise shouldn't have any correlation with Scream anymore. I mean, if they want to have some references to it, that's fine, but just like, I don't really think it's necessary to have direct references to it anymore, you know, and have it play a big part of the movies. I just think that, we just got to move on a little bit from that. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about everything I said in this video, and if you guys agree with it. Um, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Um, and yeah, what do you guys want to see? Like, how do you guys want the meta self-awareness and commentary to be like in Scream 6, and how do you guys think they should go about it? Yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.